I did miss the link about the picking. I did. Whoops. Yeah, the 240 you got, the last one on the 245, you actually picked too many times in one spot. So you definitely got the 240 though. So you did hit the minimum goal. And here is the newest parts, newest step. So just adding a little bit below and a little, well, at the beginning and the end. So starting a little bit lower, going down a little bit lower. So after this, we'll be doing more continuous picking. Quarter notes will be not as often. But anyway, here is the next step for the picking. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get a better start. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so for the legato, what I'd like you to do next is break this down. So get this bar to at least 120 before you move on to the next. One thing that could very well help a lot is work it up in ones. Work it up in ones. You will be starting or ending this on an upbeat. That may not be a terrible thing. It won't be too difficult to tell when you end at the right spot. If it feels like you're having a rough time ending properly, just hit the first note again. Usually I say just go to the next note of the next bar, but I really want you to focus on each individual thing. So in other words, let's say you're doing that to 120. You could just stop it right there. But if you're having a hard time getting the timing correct, hit the first note once more after that. Maybe like pull off to it, that'd be okay. Same thing with the second bar. And the third. But again, you could just end with how it's written. Totally fine. So, each individual bar, we're going to work that up on their own. So again, the first bar, get that to at least 120 before you move on to working on the second bar. Get that to at least 120 before you move on to the third bar, and then get that to at least 120. So working it up in ones is a really great way to make sure you get the technique down. Next thing you can do, or the next thing I recommend doing, is get 2 bars down at a time. So and then instead of working up in ones because you got the 2 bars, you could, if you got the time and the patience for it, work it up in ones. But if it seems like it's going to take too long for 2 bars, work it up in 2s. So instead of ones, you can go up in 2s. And again, get it to at least 120. Got to get these 2 to at least 120 before you work on these two together. And then get those to at least 120 before you work on these two together. And then we're going to take it a step further. Get this one going into this one at least 120 before we move on to the next step. So at that point, so again, you got to go play bars 1 and 2 together, 2 and 3 together, and 3 and 4 together, and 4 and 1 together. Get all those up to at least 120 on their own, and then you're going to do 3 bars. Get all that to at least 120 before you work on these 3 bars. And then get all that to 120 before you work on bars 3, 4, and 1. Once you can do all that at least 120, now it's time to put it all together again. But I think that's the best approach for what we're doing right now. You got to get comfortable with each different position before we start putting it all together. So that's the legato homework. All right. Any questions come up, let me know. And I will see you again in your new video.